Today, I want to quickly go through some strategies that people have shared with me or that I know through coaching in terms of saving calories. So I'm going to go through a couple of quick examples. So let's say you instituted a rule in your home that you don't go back for second helpings at dinner or lunch or whatever. Like, you just don't do that. You have your plate, you have a properly sized plate, you portion it out, and you have what's on your plate and no more. Let's say in the off chance you're actually hungry still, wait another 15-20 minutes, set a timer if necessary, and then have your second helping. Because that way you'll know you're actually hungry, and that's just that signal has had time to get to where it needed to get to in your body, and that you're physiologically hungry and not for some other reason like habit. That's one. Two is actually set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes while you're eating to take your time in completing your meal. Because if you're not speeding through it, you might realize that you're full or satiated, or at least no longer hungry before that time is up, and you're less likely to continue eating more. Now, I think that brings up a good point. There's a difference between being hungry, not hungry, satiated, and full. There's like a spectrum here, right? If you're starving, that's one thing. And then you can eat a little bit to the point where you just don't feel starving anymore. You might not feel satiated, you might not feel full, but at least you're not hungry. And sometimes practicing that is helpful. And sometimes I talk about a Japanese tactic. It's eating to 80% full. Something very similar. You're just not eating to the point where you feel satiated. You're eating to what you might guess or estimate to be 80% full. Now, already some of these strategies I've implemented or I've suggested, it's going to take some trial and error. You're not going to pick up on it right away. So just practice it. Give it some time. Give it some attempts before you decide what's the best strategy for you. So let me continue with a couple more. Let's say when you're having dinner, don't leave the serving dishes on the table in front of you. The closer it is, the more likely you're going to grab more. You're going to have a second serving. You're just going to eat with your eyes. You're going to see it there. You're like, oh, that was good. I want more. So instead, put it on the counter or leave it on the stove where you have to actually get up and have more serving if that's what you want to do. Let's continue on with that. Let's say you go to a restaurant. Ask the server to split the meal in two, pack half of it right away. Or perhaps before you even go to the restaurant, you're looking at the menu to see the different options available and pick the one that seems to be the most aligned with what you want to get that night. Along the same lines, if you're the first person to order, you're able to set the tone where it comes to what will be ordered. If you allow other people to order first, sometimes if they're having nachos and other large calorie dishes, you're more likely to order that. You're more likely to switch your order because A, you don't want to feel out of place, and all these things obviously sound enticing and appetizing, right? If you go first, you set the tone for the table. Anybody else who might be trying to be calorie conscious at that time can follow suit and won't feel out of place as well. So in a way, you're helping other people, but also you have set the tone in terms of what you're going to have in terms of calories. And you've already pre-planned it. Like I said, you looked it up on the menu beforehand. If you're going to a buffet, for example, go get your salad, your vegetables first, fill most of the plate, and then add the other stuff, the proteins, for example. But more important, before you even load your plate, take a lap around the whole buffet. Look at everything, look what's available, and decide what's the most in line with your goal. Have those first, and then if you want to have some indulgences, then have some indulgences. But again, don't just pack as you see it, because you're going to be more likely to get to something that you really like, and then your plate's full, and you're either going to put it even more on top, you pile it on top, or you're going to decide to go back for more and fill up a second plate, right? So here's another thing that in terms of saving calories. So I talked about a few things. There are many, many more, and I of course bring it up in terms of our coaching and our nutrition habits But I think these are some of the ones that I want you to start with. I want you to consider, and I want you to, in the comments or in below here, just add some examples of some things that you have tried that worked really well for you.